Mr. Atwater, good to see you again.
Good to see you, Steve.
You've been a banker, you've been president of the Florida Senate, and you're now the chief financial officer of the state. Well, first of all, what does the chief financial officer of the state do? A lot of people might not know what that is, but the office has some unusual authority. Talk about that, if you will, a little bit.
Steve, good to be with you.
Yes, sir.
The position has extraordinary constitutional powers that most people are unfamiliar with. I consider myself the guardian of the people's money. That is, every dollar that would be extracted from their wallet in the form of taxes, or from every business owner and small business owner in the form of a tax that would be brought to Tallahassee to be redeployed, I have an opportunity to stand in the breach and evaluate, is this what we should be doing? Should the private market be doing this? Can we find greater efficiencies in how we are doing this? Are we investing it wisely while we're holding it to be deployed? Whatever I can do to keep the dollars that are hard-earned in the marketplace and from every Floridian in their pocket, that's what I try to do. And so I sign every check before it departs. I would sign off and look at contracts as agencies begin to deploy people's dollars to cover the contract. So that's what I do. My goal is to keep the money in the pockets of hardworking Floridians.
Well, what can you stop? A lot of people are very concerned
Sure.
about government spending, that they may think that maybe people are not safeguarding and watching over their money. What can the CFO do about that?
Let me give the example that is front and center right here in Tallahassee. We just built the First District Court of Appeals, a courthouse. Nobody objected that a courthouse needed to be built. The question was the extravagance that once into the building, a certain agency here in the state, agreeing with judges who were in charge of the construction team, began to spend money for fancy build-out, all private restrooms, granite countertops, African mahogany wood trimming, and artwork. And frankly, I just stepped in 60 days ago into the position. The building is nearly complete, but when I saw the bills coming in for artwork that exceeded what would have been the standard expected of a state building, said no and sent the money back, or sent the bill back to the department and said, we are not going to cover items that the people of Florida would find to be beyond the pale. And so furnishings that should not have been put in a bond issue, send that back.
In a way, you vetoed an expenditure.
In a way, we vetoed. I would not sign my name on paying for those bills that no Floridian, I don't think, would have found to have been a customary and responsible way to spend their money. No, we're not going to spend their money that way.
Well, every day almost, the state commits itself to contracts for all kinds of services and goods. You have advocated more transparency in contracting. What do you mean by this, and what practical effects could it have?
Sure. To the people of Florida, again, it's their precious resources that come here. Agencies that are charged with providing for adoptive services, or constructing a building, or constructing a roadway, will enter into contracts. Well, across all of these agencies, Steve, there has not been a systematic or consistent methodology of what should be in a contract. And so again, as I'm paying the bills, I say, show me the contract. And if in that contract that are not clear standards, what should have been done? Who will be held accountable? How will we measure our success? How will we know every dollar was spent wisely? Then I'm sending back the contract. I want every contract to be transparent. I want every contract to be posted on a website so that every Floridian can look and see, that's how we're spending our money. Or if you're a vendor who builds roads, who does contracting on building, you go online and you look at this. Could you have done it cheaper? Could you have done it more efficiently? Could you have done it faster? Could you have met a tighter standard or a higher standard of success? Could you have provided us more goods for that cost? That's what I want the people of Florida to see. And if they can see that, you can be assured that these agencies will say, we have to raise our level. We have to raise our game. We're spending people's money.
You would assume that would be done on the front end, but you're saying after the contract is lit, then we're going to see if it's happening the way it's supposed to.
That's it, because again, I'll get the invoice to pay the bill, and I'll say, and before I pay that bill, show me the contract. Did we get exactly what we were supposed to get? Don't just tell me that there's a bill due. Tell me we received exactly what we should receive. So in the long haul, we are asking the legislature this session to help us with standards and contracts so that going forward, there would be benchmarks for success, the tools that will be used to measure the success, who will be held accountable in the contract if we're not getting what we expected, and how we get out of the contract if we're not getting what we expected. Those things are necessary.
Let's move a little bit
Sure.
off of the financial subject to something else that does have financial impact.
Yeah.
And that's the whole issue of fraud.
Right.
I mean, you have emphasized that
Right.
in two areas at least, and that would be automobile insurance fraud
Right.
and also Medicaid fraud.
Right.
Let's start with automobile insurance fraud. It's a huge problem. Tell us about it.
Yeah, and I connect the dot again. My job, keep money in the people of Florida's pocket. Do not let it be a cost driver or spent unwisely. Auto insurance fraud. We are now, Florida is the #1 state in the union for staged auto accidents in PIP fraud. #1 in the, so we
Say what PIP is, if you don't mind.
that is personal injury protection. Every Floridian who goes in to get insurance to be able to drive their car has to have personal injury protection. It provides, if there's an accident, for up to $10,000 in medical care, no matter who's at fault. So it's a good service for Floridians, but they should be paying what's the real cost of their driving record and not built-in fraud costs. So here's what happens. When you have Miami now ranking #3 in the country, behind Tampa is now #2 in the country. New York's 1, Tampa's 2, Miami's 3, Orlando is 4, Hialeah is 8th. We have 4 of the top 10 cities in the country for staged auto accidents. We're accepting this in what we believe is a civil society. Here's what happens. Insurance companies are now departing these markets. They're hardly riding in Tampa Bay. They're considering departing from Orlando. Fewer riding in Miami. Fewer choices. Higher price for everyone watching your program today. It's time to stop it and beat it. Here's the real dollar cost. The estimate is the Insurance Information Institute believes this year, 2011, every car in the driveway on average in Florida will spend $83 more because of PIP fraud. 2 cars in the driveway, that's $160, $170 per family.
So if I'm paying $160-something bucks if I've got 2 cars in my driveway for staged accidents.
And that's if that's average. If you live in Tampa Bay, Orlando, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach counties, you're probably paying twice or 3 times that. That's average. And so these staged auto accidents are nothing but a scam. The clinics that people are sent to are nothing but fraud clinics. They're not real medication or not real medical assistance being provided there. So what we're doing is, I've been in office 60 days. We've arrested 109 people in those 60 days. If they're all prosecuted to the full extent of the law, that's over 2,000 years of prison terms that they have coming to them. We're going to stop it. We're going to beat it. So I'm showing the insurance industry, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to go after the fraud. We're going to beat the fraud. We're going to put them in jail. These are doctors. These are chiropractors. These are medical clinic owners. And when we start putting them in jail and we can turn the corner and give up the #1 ranking in the country, you're going to reduce your rates. The people in Florida will not be paying these rates for insurance. We're not going to accept fraud in Florida. We're going to chase them out. We're going to put them in jail, and then you're going to lower your rates. They're working with us. They're helping us in investigations, find these people. And a lot of this, Steve, is real data management. They can see who they're paying the claims for. They can see the clinics that they're writing the checks to. They can see the doctors they're writing the checks to. These are staged auto accidents. No accident ever occurred. No health care is being provided. Clinics that are licensed are just sending the tab, the bill, the made-up bill to the insurance company. It's being paid. Stop this. You give me the address, I'll go arrest them, and we're going to bring down the fraud.
Well, you're working also, I assume, with law enforcement agencies.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is this basically sharing data, or you're cooperating with bust, or how does that work?
Exactly, and in fact, we just had a bust about 10 days ago in Miami where we arrested 25 people. The state attorney, Kathy Rundle, was involved with us the whole way. We provided them our case. They looked at it and said, not only can we have enough evidence for an arrest, we can get a prosecution and conviction from this evidence. They helped us finish the investigation. We all woke up early one morning. I went down personally to see these thieves and crooks be handcuffed and put in a car. And we're going to do that day after day.
Another issue, really tragic issue, the northwest coast of Florida had a tragic spill of oil that is still affecting the economy over there. And many people are frustrated about the claims process to get their businesses up and running again. And I know you're frustrated about it. Tell us what your experience has been in trying to grab hold of Mr. Feinberg in the claims process and what you're trying to do.
Well, we've corresponded with Mr. Feinberg to tell him that his system is an outrage, and that good, hardworking Floridians who are charter fishing boat captains, who own and operate a small hotel, who own and operate a small business owner as a restaurant, who counted on last summer's season and it was lost to this oil spill, you have a responsibility. BP has set aside the money, they have put you in charge, reimburse these individuals, and stop dragging this out. So we have corresponded in ways that I think if anybody read that correspondence would say we have absolutely made our case. On the 21st of March, we are now going over with Representative Broxson, Representative Gates, Senator Evers, Representative Cooley, and others, Representative Petronas, to hold workshops in the community, because we want our fellow Floridians to be able to come to a place where people want to see them succeed, not finding people criticizing or doubtful or cautious with the Gulf Coast claims paying process, but we want them to get reimbursed. So we're going to hold these workshops. Come in, show us where your claim is at. Let my department, as we have for people who have called in personally, Steve, we pick up the ball and we follow it for them, and we have been getting people reimbursed. It's a tough system to navigate when Mr. Feinberg and team keeps changing the rules, or somehow is suspicious that you're the crook. I mean, you've had your business for years. They've shown their license. They've shown years of performance of their business. So we are going over on the 21st, and we will hold a series of these workshops as long as we need to be sure that individuals have access to us so that we can help champion and get their claims paid.